People need to understand it needs to be mutual. Everything in life is a negotiation.
When you're negotiating, you want to have... Welcome to the Nathaneal podcast. Today, we have a good friend of mine from X, Milos. Hey, man.
Hey, Nathaniel, how are you doing? Thank you very much for having me on your podcast. It's a great pleasure to be among all those stars you've interviewed so far.
Oh yeah, that's funny. We were talking about that like before the recording, but yeah, I just wanted to say, man, I think you're kind of underestimating yourself, because we've gotten in a couple of conversations, and although you mentioned you have like 750 followers, you're a very interesting guy, man. Your story, we've talked a little bit about it, your journey as well. I think you're massively underestimating yourself.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll take that as a compliment. I think it's quite difficult now to keep up with all the youngsters, right? Like they're like you and all the other guys that are just kind of like crushing it in the digital marketplace. And why I say that, because some of you guys that know me, like I'm 42 years old. I was always going to say 43. I'm 42 years old. I have a career like behind me, and then after about 15 years in the financial services career, I went into entrepreneurship, not the first time, and I just wanted to spend more time with my kids. It was kind of triggered by Justin Welsh that I discovered back in 2000, I think 18, 19, and he was writing around LinkedIn and solopreneurship and whatever, and it just sounded appealing. But I was never really kind of confident to go into that, and I was cozy, I was earning well, I had kind of regulated life, and that's it. But long story short, how I ended up, and this is just maybe kind of a shame to say, especially in comparison to a lot of young people. I registered on X, I believe, in November or December of 2023. And I started really posting about a year ago in January 24. And I had absolutely no idea about it. So I just enjoyed what I did. I had an idea what I wanted to do. And I just embarked on that Money X journey, and it's been fun. I don't do it at the moment. I mean, you know that, and some people that know me, they also know that. But that's it, and it's been great. And I've met so many cool people, among them you, and that's why we're talking today. So I'm more than happy to share what I know, and I hope that your folks that are watching this are going to find it useful.
You were already kind of well off, right? Or not well off, but you already had a stable income. You had a career. Most of the people that I know on X are young. Most of them are actually really young, and they're still trying to make a name for themselves. So I'm curious, what was the inspiration? What was your mindset behind I've made something out of myself. I've created a career. What made you go into Money X? Go on X.
I mean, look, there's several things, but I think it's more kind of the whole lifestyle I wanted to have. As you can imagine, financial services industry, people work crazy hours. I came to the stage where I could decide to go two paths, right? One path was to go to the complete top, and then with big responsibility, you're around pretty much 24/7, 365. And I have three small kids, and family has always been really interesting for me, because I grew up pretty much without my dad, even though my parents were married. But why? My dad was ship captain, so my dad was gone. My dad would be gone for a couple of months, and then he would come back, and then again, and I love my dad. I mean, I still love him. He passed away about a year ago, but he was a wonderful father, right? And I was just thinking about it, that I didn't want to have that for my kids, and my kids are still relatively small. And then I just was thinking, I was a bit getting sick and tired of the financial services industry, not in terms of that I couldn't keep up with that anymore. But look, I had about 10, 12 people under me, all the youngsters in their 20s, and then you're always there for them. You have to be there for them, right? Because my interest was to deliver for my clients or our clients. So we were always working as a team, and I had to make sure that happened, right? I'm just giving always this example. If you have a youngster that is 25, 6, and he or she got booted by the girlfriend boyfriend, right? Like, I mean, it was my job to pick up the phone when they called me at 10 o'clock in the evening, like from a bar or whatever, to tell me that they would probably not show up the following day, to convince them not to get trashed and, like be hungover the following day, but just kind of like to, like to be there as a kind of like mentor figure. And I figured out I had 3 kids and didn't want to have more. And I don't mean this in any arrogant way. And that was basically the trigger. And you're like, and I think you put it pretty well. Like I could afford to go into that. I didn't have to depend on X. Like X was just a playground for me to find a channel to see like where people speak. And I wanted to go just a bit away from LinkedIn because I was never big on social networks. LinkedIn has developed organically through the whole career. But I stopped with LinkedIn, interestingly enough, about uh, 15 months ago. I just completely switched to X. And X is basically the only platform I can like use daily, and I share pretty much my thoughts about business in general. Not a business that I run now, but just the business in general and what I've learned, and try to kind of like help people understand something. You will see also in my profile, I'm not taking any clients at the moment, so I'm not selling. I'm very kind of like safe bet for people to read my posts. So yeah, that's it. There's no hidden interest behind. But that was basically the trigger. The trigger was just like purely to spend more time with my family. That was it.
Ah, I see. Okay, that totally makes sense, and I think that's something that I haven't experienced it, but now that you're saying it, it makes sense because like right now, like it worked out for me, and I actually have the freedom. Like I moved to the countryside with my
Yeah,
family, and dude, I feel so healthy and happy.
yeah,
Like I feel so healthy and happy because I'm around like my grandma, my uncle, the people who raised me
fantastic.
when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I get to spend time with my fiance. So it's like
amazing.
now I'm realizing, okay, that's one of the key
Yeah,
things.
I mean, look, I fully get it. I've lived now for since July 23 in a small town. Uh, the first time in my life, I'm for the European standards like a big city kid. Um, and I love it. I mean, especially with the family, once you have kids, it's fantastic. Like I live in nature. I go to walk in the forest every day, and it's so like refreshing and relieving from the whole setup of the
Hustle
life.
culture,
Well,
right?
yeah, from the whole setup of the life that we all have now. Like you can even not call
Yeah,
that Western life. Like it's everywhere, like around the globe now. So like, and
yeah.
it's also kind of like the whole thing about writing. Like, I mean, I still write things because I love writing. I'm kind of like an old school guy. Maybe it has something to do with my age. I use pen and paper. Like I do use like all the kind of like electronic gadgets, but I use pen and
Don't
paper.
worry, it's also
Yeah. So like I go to the forest and clear my thoughts, take my
yeah, yeah.
earbuds away, and it's fantastic. It's great. Like so that's it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's also something like for me, like also writing has always been something that helped me think clearer. Like
Yeah,
when I have a dilemma with my life, it's more of it's actually therapy.
it
Like
is.
when I write, more
Absolutely.
than just the marketing part,
Yeah.
the entertaining part.
Yeah, I mean, you know what the thing with writing is? I used to say that always to my employees because we would have
Mm.
like a lot of when I worked in consulting for a long time, so we would have to prepare like all the pitch decks and everything, like right, and they would all sit down, open a PowerPoint, and start creating there.
Mm.
Whereas, for example, I always used to tell them that you need to structure your thoughts somehow. Putting
Mm.
them on a paper is the easiest thing to do. I mean, on a paper in this term, like on a PowerPoint presentation. Sit down, use a whiteboard, use basically just a notebook, and start structuring things, start drawing things, how you would like to see them, how you would like to basically um, present them. Because everything you do in any business, it's never about you. How you see it and whatever, it's nice, but it's always about your business partner or your client or your, pardon me, or your interlocutor or like the person that is on the other side. Because I can talk now about myself here for the next 5 hours, and people will be probably like, well, that's interesting what this guy has to say, but what's in there for them, right? So coming back to your question, how I decided to join Maniacs. There's one thing that you learn with life. like in life experience. And that is something that I would really encourage everybody, regardless whether you're 15 years old or 35 years old. At 35, you should already know this, but if you don't know that it's fine. Uh, I embarked on that journey because I did something what I like always to call calculated risk. If you are like
Mm,
very young and you kind of like start on, you have very
mm,
little downsides, right? Like,
yeah,
and that's fine, and that's great. That's basically the
yeah,
opportunity that you need that you need to use. When you're a bit younger,
yeah,
for example, or sorry, when you're a bit older, like you, and I'm putting you in older because like with all the 15, 16, 18-year-old ones, you're still a bit more experienced. You worked,
mm,
you went to college, right? And you decided to
yeah.
become an entrepreneur now, like with 20, you're 22, 23 now, right? So
22, yeah.
yeah, so basically, you also had a more downside than anybody else, right? So you also
Mm,
took a calculated risk. It's kind of like putting it on a scale and saying, okay, if I drop out of college, what kind of
mm,
ramification that will have for my life? And
right,
what is the opportunity on the other side if I go into entrepreneurship full time
right.
that I will gain, right? So for me,
Mm,
I had to make another calculated risk decision
right.
because I already had family, I had kids. I live in probably the most expensive country in the world. Probably this is going to get like a bit of a heat from people because some will agree, some will disagree. But yeah, let's put a controversial statement here, and I had to, like take a calculated risk. So what I did the first thing is like what gets in. That's always the most important in any entrepreneurship, and what
Mm,
comes out, what goes out. If you know those two things, then it gets easier because if the money that gets in from various sources, in
mm,
my case, needs to be higher than your expenses, and whatever remains, you need to be very smart about it, how you handle that. Usually, you would
mm,
just put that into something that you can increase your income or
yeah,
decrease the time that you need for creation of your income. So I
right.
built something over time that is pretty much what I like to say financial confidence, and that's much better than any other whoever tells you
Yeah.
financial independence, freedom, whatever. It's more about confidence, and that's one thing. Knowing that you can make money if you didn't have anything
Mm,
tomorrow. If everything goes
right.
am I allowed to swear in the
Yeah.
podcast?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so
Fuck.
if everything goes to shit, like that, you knew you would be able to make money again. And I knew that.
Mm,
I think that several kind of like successful creators um,
mm,
talk about it. If you have any kind of skill, if you don't make it there, you can always
mm.
go back and make money. So for me, that
Yeah,
was that
yeah,
was
yeah.
also I was very very confident about it and very easygoing. And I didn't have to push and chase people. I did kind of like jump on a bandwagon first and try to kind of like do
Yeah,
it how the others tell you to do it. And it was
yeah.
completely wrong. It didn't feel that natural. And then when I just kind of like relaxed and
Yeah.
started doing things I do, I made money from the things that I would have never thought I would make money from. So it's like it's
Mm,
more about being confident, exploring, being curious, and trying to use
right.
skills you have.
Right. I love that. Like one thing that really resonated with me, what you said with calculated risk, because for me, like it actually was a very, very well. Actually, it is calculated, but it was not. It was like a knuckle dragger calculation. You know, it was a kind of dumb, dumb decision because how I thought about it when I took the leap, right? I was like thinking, I'm in my 20s, right? And I'm broke. And I have this opportunity that people say you can make money from. Like no one was gonna support me. Like even if I graduate from college, I was thinking even if I graduate, I don't even know if people will accept me. I'm still gonna be broke. And so I was like, I'm broke now. If I went all in on X, the worst case scenario is I'm gonna be broke. The
Yeah.
best case scenario is I earn a lot of money. So I'm like, interesting. So I guess I just gotta like go all in and see how it works.
You know what I
So
think?
that's the risk.
No, you know what I think about you is a bit different. Or not only about you, but like about many people that have made it, like many
Yeah.
other people. If you're broke, you have only two options. you don't have 27 options. You have two options. One
Yeah.
option is to sit down in a room, cry, be pathetic and miserable about your destiny, which is fine. I don't judge those people. I don't judge them, really. It's horrible situation to be in. Horrible. And the second thing is to start thinking about what can I do to get out of this shit situation and make my life worth living. I mean, any life is worth living. Just don't get me wrong that I'm
Right.
kind of like, encouraging here, like any kind of like suicidal tendencies or whatever. Every life
Yeah.
is worth living and you can always make it better.
Yeah.
And like what I like to say, and I was just like discussing it with Stein Norman on X like some time ago, and I'm dropping a big name to kind of like make myself being more important. Like uh, life is a line. Life is a line, and you stand somewhere in the middle or wherever you stand on the line. Everything what is on the left hand side that's happened, and you cannot change it. But that's the experience you have, and you can learn from. All the mistakes you made, they end in an experience. And how you're going to channel that experience, it's up to you. But everything what's on the right hand side of the line is a fantastic opportunity you have. Any obstacle you face in life is an opportunity in disguise.
Right.
And it's up to you how you're gonna create that. It's not up to your
Right.
neighbor, it's not up to your mom, it's not up to your friends, it's not up to X
Right.
community, it's up to you. And if you can do that, and I think in your case, just coming back, not to kind of like swirl around completely, like, in your case, your calculated risk was, I'm going to go full into this and I'm going to try it. And nobody
Yeah.
has ever made anything in their life unless they have tried.
Yeah.
And failure is only the first step in success. There's
Yeah.
nothing else. Like you cannot make your life great unless you have failed. And if you have failed,
Yeah.
that means that you're on a good path to make your life better. So you're not the miserable one sitting in the corner and crying.
Yeah.
And that is something like what I think I can give to a lot of younger people here is just try. You have nothing to lose. And
Yeah.
it's like, and when they figure out that money is just a normative approach, normative category, it's a
Yeah.
promise, right? Like at the end of the road. And how you're gonna get it, like all the money you're gonna earn is gonna become byproduct of that what you become. Does it make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like it's a lagging indicator of your character. That's how I like to think about it. The more you increase your character, the more like money will just catch up.
Absolutely. And like I just posted today. I mean, this video will probably come out like at some time, but not today. But I posted today
Yeah.
something that I've been thinking for a long time, especially now in Europe. We have like a lot of changes. We're kind of like we're getting away from a bit of kind of like socialist thinking where the state should take care of people and whatever, which I think it's completely wrong. I mean, the European state has done a lot to rebuild the society after World War II, but like for the last 20, 30 years, it's just not there what it is, and we have many problems in Europe, and we just like can put them aside through entrepreneurial mindset, innovation, creation, giving more freedom to the individual to fail and succeed, right? And I'm not going to go this into political or philosophical discussion, but what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say with this, I'm trying to say one thing: you are free to choose what you want to do, even if you live like first of all, you have an access to X. That means that's great. You don't live in a full dictatorship. Your country can be however it is, right? But you have this fantastic opportunity where you
Yeah.
can unfold your skills and you need to learn them.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing. And I'm not trying to wave my finger here, trying to be smart, smart dude with kind of like half gray hair. The point is, nobody's gonna pay you for like not knowing anything. Maybe the state will in some socialist, socialist utopia, but nobody's going to pay you in the market. The market decides what's the quality and what's not. But what I like to say
Right.
for a lot of young people that are trying and they don't have money, and this is just going to sound a bit controversial to that what I said, and I also post about it, and then I'll come back to that what I mentioned to post today. Just so many topics. Get a job. If you don't have money, get a job, and
Yeah.
it's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Learn something on the job, earn money. The best thing
Mm.
is you do both. You learn and earn, right? On
Yeah.
the side, you have so much time. You don't have family,
Mm.
you don't have commitments. Like learn a skill, any skill you like, any skill you can, like provide to somebody that is
Mm.
gonna facilitate their life about what we spoke, money or time, and you'll be good.
Mm.
You'll be good, and you will become that entrepreneur. What I wanted to say initially, I just like basically posted a reflection today. A lot of people think that uh, the majority thinks that entrepreneurs are just kind of like exploitative, greedy assholes. That's what the majority thinks.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I'm kind of like quoting my own tweet today, which is completely super weird, that entrepreneurs are basically situationally elastic. What
Mm.
does that mean? That means that they've learned a lot of skill and they have a lot of experience. Even the young entrepreneurs, if you're successful, they have a lot of experience already. I mean, they will gain much more. That
Mm.
means that for every situation, they will find the best solution for themselves while they don't compromise on three things. One is integrity, one is
Mm.
reputation,
Mm.
and one is protecting their clients' interests. That means in this kind of
Mm.
business that you are planning to build, that is kind of like a digital business, what does it mean protecting your clients' interests? I mean, you live from your clients. The more
Mm.
value and the more time or money you provide to your client, you'll be better off.
Mm.
So that's it. And if people call you exploitative, greedy asshole, that's their problem, not yours. Because that means that you're successful and that you have a skill. And they can be either envious
Yeah.
or they cannot do it because they're lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that people who shame others are often just the people who wish they were in that position, you know? Like when people shame you, it's often that they're jealous of you.
Look, I think that's true. And I think it's also a bit of a kind of generational thing. When I say generational, I'm
Mm.
not trying to compare different generations. It's just kind of like the time of your life where you at. The younger we are,
Mm.
the more jealous we are and the more ego we have.
Yeah.
And I don't blame those people.
Yeah.
I try to have understanding for them. But like
Yeah.
I always question why they're like that. I mean, it's fine,
Mm.
great. For example, I mean, I don't want people to be jealous of my success or whatever. I just want them to learn
Yeah.
something from what I share that they're doing better because I
Mm.
think if everybody can do better if you learn from each other. Like it's as I said, like at 42,
Yeah.
I keep learning every day,
Mm.
every freaking day. And like it can be just a
Mm.
fraction, just a bit, but everything about
Mm.
above zero compounds. And that's not philosophy, that's financial mathematics. Basically, like if you put it down on
Yeah.
paper, you're gonna get, like the result. So that's
Yeah.
it. I think it's more the more mature you become, the less jealous you become and the less ego you have. At least that
Yeah.
should be the case.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day as well, like shaming, I often find doesn't really inspire people to act. So, like if you tell people, if you shame someone, yo, you're a fat greedy pig,
Yeah.
it's not like they're going to suddenly stop being a fat greedy pig. If anything, they're just gonna keep on doing it.
Look, I think that using I believe really like in kind of like energy, and this is not philosophical or spiritual thing.
Hmm.
We have, like when we kicked off, you and I started talking. Like, we're not even going to talk about it, how we got to know each other because I think that's some other topic,
Yeah.
and we don't want to promote some other people that maybe they don't deserve a promotion. Maybe they do. I mean, it's up to them to decide, not to us.
Yeah.
That's why we're not going to promote them. Um, I think the energy is a very important thing. I think bad
Hmm.
energy drains you, so
Mm.
you cannot focus
Yeah.
on things that matter, right? And good
Right.
energy
Right.
just gives you a boost. You know how many times I
Yeah.
found myself on Twitter reading about things that 18, 19, 15, 25 year olds post. And I read them, I'm kind of like, wow, this is so amazing. Like, that's great
Yeah.
because I can accept that. And I want to adore, I want to, I'm sorry, I want to adapt that.
Mm.
I want to adopt that. I want to be there. I want to learn from that. And that's the attitude that a lot
Mm.
of people don't have. And the ones that have it, they become successful over time. I mean, I don't know how you see
Mm.
that, but it's my kind of like mindset is always kind of like you can learn from everyone at any point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree. There's even the people who have the different beliefs from you, or like, opinions. You could still learn something from them, because I don't know, now this is, we're going to spiritual stuff,
Sure,
but
no problem.
but it's like non-dualism, right? Like
Yeah,
most of the time, both, when things, okay, I read this somewhere, but when people can't find the truth, where they're just arguing both sides, most likely they're both right. Like, they're actually saying true, both of them are saying truthful things. It's just that the frame that they're saying things. So
hmm,
the arguments of this guy is not in alignment. They're arguing about two different things when they can't
yeah.
agree with each other. Normally it's like that. But both of them are right. Both of them are saying something that's true.
Well, that's the if we go now more into spirituality or philosophy, that's basically the normative power of the facts. And what I mean
Mm.
with that, if you take a step back and understand what we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, um, the world is not binary, but the world becomes
Mm.
binary. And again, this is not philosophy. I'm going to go back to business and entrepreneurship in really 5 seconds. If I speak about a topic only from my perspective and I
Mm.
don't put myself in your shoes,
Yeah.
I will not understand what you want to tell me. And I will still
Yeah.
be right because that's my
Mm.
perspective. Those are my concerns. Those are maybe my fears, my emotions. And the same goes for
Mm.
you. So we cannot
Mm.
find that connection, right?
Yeah.
And if we start listening to each other and start thinking about what's in here, and I don't think this is not materialistic or financial, what's in here for you or what's in here for me, like vice versa,
Mm.
right? Then it
Yeah.
comes together. It's never going
Yeah.
to come
Yeah. Yeah.
together if there's no common ground, but the common ground can be found
100%.
only if we understand the other
Yeah.
person's position.
100%. Yeah. This is now we're getting into negotiation. It's super cool. But it's basically like, when you're negotiating, you want to have basically a win-win situation, right? You understand their goal and you align that to your goal, because
Yeah,
then if you do that, you win, you both win, you both agree.
yeah. I mean, look, that's also comes to the point that we also discussed before we started recording, right?
Yeah.
If you Okay, I'll reverse it. If you basically negotiate, you get into a
Yeah.
negotiation, and everything in
Mm.
life is a negotiation, maybe just like a short thing. I negotiate with
Yeah.
my kids every day, 25 times a day. No, it's a fact. Everything
Yeah.
in life is a negotiation. But if you get
Yeah.
into a negotiation, you need to observe, in my view, I don't say this is just kind of like the absolute truth about negotiation, but this is how I do it,
Mm.
and it's been okay so far. What is the bare minimum I want to reach or achieve?
Mm.
What is I'm satisfied with? And what is the absolutely best case? And then you
Right.
flip the coin and you say, what is, from my perspective, as I've talked to this person before, or even if I haven't,
Mm.
and this is not an assumption, this needs to be fact based. What is the bare
Right.
minimum
Observation.
they can, yes, it needs to be evidence based to some point. What is the
Mm.
bare minimum they're they can walk away with, what they're going
Right.
to be satisfied with, and what is their best
Mm.
case scenario, and how does that come together with my points, right?
Right.
And
Mm.
I think the most important thing about the negotiation business in general is you
Mm.
never assume what your client, what your negotiation partner
Right.
knows or wants to do.
Yeah.
And there's a simple way how to figure that out. And you know what it is?
Ask a question.
Very simple. Very simple. Don't be a guy who walks into the room and just talks. Just ask them.
Yeah. 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 100%. So now we can segue a little bit into X
Sure.
because this is like, dude, because this is something that is very interesting to me during when people DM me on X is this exact same thing where they assume that I want something from it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you've received everyone. If the audience is watching this from X, they have received some form of cold message.
And
Everyone's
sorry for
had it,
interrupting you.
right?
Every single one of them, at 5 followers
Yeah,
or at 500,000 followers.
yeah, exactly. Every single one. Like even if you're just new, you've received it. So if you're watching this on X, I'm sure you've received one. And they just, dude, there was one guy who was pitching me about like, do you have a mental illness? I'm like, what? No, he didn't even ask me. Sorry, he didn't even ask me if I had a mental illness. He just assumed. He just told me, "Hey, Nathaniel, I've created a system for people to focus for people who have mental illnesses to focus on this." And I'm like, bro, I don't know. I've never had mental illness. I don't think I do. But like, how? Why are you assuming that I have that? First of all, it's very offensive. That I already don't want to reply to you because you did that. Second, it's just, dude, I don't know anyone who would want to talk to you if you start like that.
Yeah. Man, look, I always write about it. I mean, not always, but like a comment about it. I don't know where those people learn that. I don't know who teaches them that. I assume it might be the future candidate for the British Prime Minister, and
Dude.
and similar people. I mean, look, and that's the wrong way. I mean, look, people need to understand it needs to be to mutual benefit, right? Like everything is
Yeah.
it's not a zero sum game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if somebody basically sells you something, where you figure out quite quickly after that, that is
Hmm.
she cannot, like profit from that. I'm not going to say monetize,
Yeah.
profit from that.
Yeah.
Then he or she fooled you. And I mean, you know the saying,
Hmm.
fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. So,
Test.
like you don't go
Yeah,
into
yeah.
kind of like another thing that's, like, you really need to be smart about it, what you buy. And I understand it for a lot of young entrepreneurs. It's really easy. And I'm not talking about the person that I had mentioned before. It's really easy to jump on something that sounds really great. Like what we used to say in financial industry, there's 2 points where you can really run away from. One is if it sounds too
Hmm.
good to be true, it's usually a scam.
Yeah.
And the second one is if you don't understand it, what it is, what the product or service is, within 3 to 5 minutes of reading it, also run away from
Yeah.
it. It doesn't mean the
Yeah.
letter doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means you're not there to get it what it is.
Hmm.
And it's fine,
Yeah.
right? So what you're saying with these DMs, it's out of control. It's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane. Like it's just kind of like I understand people want to make money, but
Hmm.
it's sometimes I just like ask myself, it's kind of like similar to an open psychiatry, to be honest.
What? Sorry. It's
I
similar
mean,
to what?
the DMs that people get,
Right.
it's kind of like you walk on the street and everybody, if everybody would be like a psychiatric like patient, that's my feeling sometimes when I look into my DMs. And I mean, if I get that kind of DMs, and I'm kind of like, not really relevant on X. I can imagine what other
Mm.
people get.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, just imagine about like we can think about this how weird it is in the real world, right? Just imagine that X is the real world, and you're a guy just chilling at your house. You're just there sipping your coffee, scrolling, reading a book, and then someone knocks on your door and be like, "Hey, I have something for mental
Yeah,
illness.
yeah.
Do you want it?" Right? It's like that.
No, of course. But look, you know what's even you know what's even it's even worse than that. I use that one, yeah, that one example. You don't walk into a barber shop
Yeah.
and tell to the barber, yo, sub G, whatever they use, like, kind of like, do you kind of like, do you want to cut my hair, bro? And he'll be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I mean, why are you even here? Like, just leave.
Dude, that's hilarious.
But yeah, but
That is
you
hilarious.
walk into the barber shop because you know that the dude has something you want to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like, that's exactly with the home. It's kind of like more private and whatever. And I agree that the
Yeah.
DMs are like that.
Yeah, right?
But like, you cannot do it like that. But look, I see that more as a kind of like amusement factor of X.
Yeah.
People are learning,
Yeah.
and I hope they learn
Mm.
well from that. I used to
Mm.
really, like, I used to write back to the such people and give them really proper
Mm.
feedback. No bad
Yeah,
words,
yeah.
not mocking them, nothing, right? Just write them this, and this. I would do if I were you. I wish you good luck and all the best. And if some of those people read or hear that, I hope they can confirm it, because like, I really took my time, but at some point, like, it just got out of control,
I
and the amount of messages I was getting was just like insane.
yeah. I tried to do that. I also tried to do that because you put yourself in the other person's shoes and you're like, okay, this guy's just hustling, right?
Yeah, which is fine.
Everyone wants to, right? But then the thing is, when you reply to them, now they think that you're a lead.
Yeah,
Like that's what's annoying, because like you just reply to them and you clearly tell them you're not interested, and they still
yeah.
like, dude, every 7 days, dude, Jesus Christ. Yeah, look at the signs,
Yeah.
bro. Look at the signs.
Look, uh, as I like to say, having a list of people, like a list of random people in front of you, doesn't mean that they're leads.
Right, yeah.
And that's this couple of guys that are kind of like in my age, and I met one of them when I was traveling to Portugal last summer. Those dudes know what they do. Like, they work with like big companies and big brands. And I'll meet another one. I'll be traveling to the UK at some point, last this year, but later this year. I mean, they always mock like that, because the thing is, what is exactly a lead? Like, do people really know that? That's always also another thing, what I tend to say and joke about. And this is a question. This is not. I'm not kind of like testing you now. This is a question to you.
Okay.
How many people do you think on X know what's the difference between a customer and a client?
So are you asking me
No, I'm not
or?
asking you. I'm just asking you how many people you think know that difference on X.
I don't know. It's so hard because I don't know how many people are, but like based on like my estimation, probably like 70%,
Know that
maybe. Sorry.
they know the difference. 70% know the
Yeah.
difference.
Oh, no, 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 no. 70% don't know
Don't
the
know the difference.
difference.
I would go even
Yeah.
further, and I would argue that it's probably about 95%.
Interesting.
And I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because a lot of them don't cater for clients, they cater for customers. And why I say that, because a lot of them, don't understand what is basically the point of business in general is any business
Mm.
you run, having, and the numbers are just like completely, like it's an example, having 3 to 5 great clients over the course of years is much
Mm.
more worth in any aspect
Yeah.
than having 100 occasional buyers or
100%.
10,000 occasional buyers.
Yep.
And that is something that I really want to maybe convey that message is think about it, what you can do with with that person. I'm not going to use that now over the course of years, how you can build
Yeah.
the journey together and how you both
Mm.
profit on the journey. So it's not kind of like I get
Mm.
somebody on a retainer and then I increase my retainer next year because I'm so great. It's more about kind of like, what does that person get from me? That the person
Yeah.
basically wants to come to me proactively and ask me for more.
Mm.
And you can do it. Like
Right.
everybody can do it, but you just need to have skills. You need to have a bit of
Mm.
experience and confidence that you can do it. And you need to deliver because never promise something you cannot deliver on. That's the biggest mistake what a lot of people do or make, basically, in this
Yeah.
case.
100%. Yeah, that's something like there are a lot of gurus out there who mislead. I'm definitely, and I'm not saying this as someone who's better than I'm not better than Alex Hormozy. Like I'm not claiming
Who's
that.
that?
I'm just saying that Alex Hormozy. You're not
No,
familiar with
no, no.
Alex.
I know him, but
I
look,
thought you.
I
I
need,
was like, wait, what?
no, no, but I need to say this, and this is a lot of people would probably like laugh about it. I had no
Yeah,
freaking idea who Dan Coe was when I joined X.
yeah.
No, no, really, I had absolutely no idea about him. I didn't know the guy
Mm,
existed. But yeah,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead with the Alex Ramosi thing. Like,
Yeah, but same here. I actually didn't know Dan Co. I got into actually started on Quora,
okay,
so I don't think like yeah, I think a lot of people think that everyone on X is Dan Co. But sometimes it's not. Anyways,
guilty as
I'm not
charged.
saying that I'm not saying that I'm better than Alex Ramosi, but I am saying that I experienced that thing where you follow a guru and you think that you're making progress, but then it's actually like there's a lot of misleading information, which is actually quite difficult. Like now that I'm thinking about it, if I was in my shoes before, I would still have a hard time discerning like myself what is it that I should follow, because there are a lot of things that Hormozy teaches that I did adapt, but then there are some things that I didn't adapt. There's a lot of like I needed to look for so many coaches and courses and learn a lot and make a lot of mistakes, made tons of mistakes to find something that works for me.
I mean, look, two things about it. The first is the letter, what you said, the trial and error approach.
Mm,
That's the best thing you can do. And you cannot know that
mm,
unless you have tried.
mm,
So it's a normal process of improving. And then
mm.
coming back to Hormozy and the stuff that he teaches, I partly disagree with you. And I mean, no affiliation with Alex Hormozy, never bought any of his products and whatever, really, for the record. Um,
Yeah.
it's very difficult if you start somewhere and you see a person who is like 27 steps ahead of you.
Right.
A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
things
That's the
cannot
problem.
resonate, right? Like, because
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of like learning, I don't even know how old Alex Hormozy is, but I would assume he's like a bit younger than me. But like, so like
Yeah.
learning from Alex Hormozy from 10, 15 years ago would be maybe the right
Yeah. Yeah.
point to be there, right?
Mhm.
Do you get what I mean? The gap
No. Yeah. Yeah.
between where
Yeah.
people are and where Hormozy is massive.
Hmm.
And obviously, when you reach that level and you go
Yeah.
down that like route, what Hormozy does,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna
Yeah.
come there and tell you, look, you have to be at a certain level,
Mm.
like in order to profit from this.
Yeah.
Where you,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example, have on the other hand, the biggest solopreneur here, like evidence based,
Yeah.
who is so smart to have built the different category products. So the
Mm.
complete beginner can profit from one product, but the dudes that are much further away, like, I mean, they're much forward on the journey, they can profit from something
Yeah.
else. And I think that is kind of
Mm.
like the discrepancy that a lot of people don't understand, which is fine, but you need to
Mm.
really think about it. Why the guru like people are getting a lot of heat now? And I'm not trying to defend them, like I call them out quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more about it where we are,
Right.
right? So you always need to look for things or around
Right.
things and above things from your own perspective. Because we're
The
Justin
context,
Welsh,
right? You need to
exactly.
take into.
Yeah, we're Justin Welsh, Dan
Yeah.
Cole, Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy, whatever you name them are.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
you're not. But can you
Yeah.
reach that? Can you achieve that level? Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's not the space where you need to look at. You can learn from them, but you need to go step by step. And especially in any kind of like digital business, you need to learn from people that
Right.
are like, I mean, everybody says this and it's kind of like regurgitated 700 times, but you need to learn from people that are 5 steps ahead of you, not because those people are kind of like better than the big ones, but they're much
Yeah.
closer to where you want to come to first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's much
Yeah.
easier to relate to them and their mistakes and their errors and their experience and their successes and their
Yeah. Yeah.
plans,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I definitely did get a lot of value from learning from people who are just a bit ahead of me. Um, yeah, and like having that, I think it's really just the trial and error, man. At
Yeah,
the end of the day, you got to find what works for you, because what works for someone else won't necessarily work for you.
yeah. And you know what's really interesting about X that I found great? I connected early
Yeah.
on my in my X career, so to speak, in inverted commas,
Uh,
uh, with several really cool people
uh-huh.
that meanwhile have made it to kind of like creators of your size, even went
Mm.
some of them full-time creators, some of them not, or call it however you like. I mean, I put like everything in creator, and if people want to judge me for that, go ahead. They're probably right. Uh, but like those connections are freaking amazing. Like, and that's kind of like the great thing about the platform, that you can connect with genuine people from all over the world.
Mm.
I mean, look, I sit in the heart of Europe. You're in the Philippines, and some of the dudes are like in the US, in Germany, in the
Yeah.
UK that I know, and somewhere like in other countries. How
Yeah.
amazing is
Yeah.
that? Like that connection that you can build. And you can
Yeah.
create like
Yeah.
friendships over time. You go get to see each other. You talk about life. You
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about business, right? Like, like the best things come out of those kind of like connections, because like you never
Mm.
know where you're gonna be, and like not only learning from each other but also profiting from each other's friendships or connection. And I'm not talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
money and financial aspect only, because that should be kind of like the byproduct of that. But only
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
that's the opportunity that, for example, my generation, when I was your age and whatever, like 20, 25 years ago, we didn't have
Mm.
that. Like internet, when I used to, like, like when I was in your age, internet was still dial up. I don't know if people know that what it
Mm.
is. It's basically you connect over your phone and it's here like, and if it breaks, then it broke. It was super slow. Like just loading a page was like insane. I don't know.
Yeah.
You had your podcast with Yannick Weiss, the guy from High Fury, right? Or you did not?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. I mean,
Yeah. I
he's
did.
we are about a similar age, and we were just like DMing each other about that, and it's like how amazing it is what the kids can do today. Like we grew up in the time of dial up, like and both of us kind of like Europeans, and then that was so fun. It was so fun, right? Like I mean, just
Yeah.
yeah. No, but that's it. What I'm trying to say, like X is a great platform, not only to create, let's say, current success, but to build up on your
Mm.
future success. But there's one thing about X that a lot of people don't know. If you depend on X, you have a big issue, because
If you
X,
sorry.
if you depend on X, if you're solely
Right.
dependent on X, you have a massive issue.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
should always build your skills, your network,
Right.
your
Mhm.
business outside.
Mhm.
That should be mainly here,
Yeah.
but it should be outside. The X is your channel. And if
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
addition, if it's a main channel, great. But if it's an additional channel, even greater. And that is
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that a lot of people, I have an impression, forget, right? They kind of think, well, I'm
Mm.
big on X and whatever, have followers and earn money and whatever. Fantastic. Great job.
Yeah.
Well done for you.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
be mindful about that. That you don't own X. You know, like it's also we live in crazy times now. You know, like Elon's there. Elon can just decide tomorrow to sell X. Hopefully he will not. But you know, like if people remember how X was under Jack Dorsey, and we're getting more into kind of like societal and political thing now, it wasn't the same. I wasn't on X back
Yeah.
then for various reasons, and one of the reasons was just kind of like I just didn't want to go and read same thing all
Yeah.
the time, right? And here it's called
Yeah.
Money X or Crypto X or Finance X or whatever X you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely great platform, but it should be a channel, not a foundation, right?
Yeah. 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 I totally agree with that. I had a podcast with Charlie, Charlie Bennett a couple of months ago, and we talked about that, where a lot of people are trapped in the creator bubble,
Yeah,
you know, where they basically just sell each other stuff. And thankfully I was able to get out of that. Like in the beginning, well, actually in the beginning I was a part of that a little bit, but not completely. You know, I was always a ghostwriter who was pitching people like outside. So um, yeah, thankfully I'm not part of that. But yeah, it is an issue when you're just selling to creators and you're basically just depending on that platform. Like you're selling to people who you've sold to before.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, look, you know what X in that regard, what X reminds me of
What?
in the old times, pre-money times, right? You
Yeah,
had kind of like the main square where you had usually the green market, and at the green
yeah,
market,
yeah, yeah,
people would exchange their product or their produce in this case for something else they needed. So the guy who was good at
yeah,
baking, he would bring like bread. People that had
yeah,
tomatoes and cucumbers and whatever, they would bring vegetables there, and they would make basically like an exchange, right? They
yeah,
would
yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
swap
yeah.
bread for vegetables, right? And then you
Right.
had like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
five suppliers that were a bit bigger. That was kind of like the first capitalists, so to speak, that could
yeah.
produce different things on a large scale, right? And that is basically what X reminds me of nowadays.
Yo.
Yeah, yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear you again.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what you heard last, but that's it. That's how I have like a bit of a feeling about X, about that bubble that you were talking about, where basically people sell
Y-
to each other, right?
Yeah, so you're saying that people are, before it was barter, right? People
Yeah.
would trade, but then someone, yeah, you got cut off there. You're saying?
No, no, I was saying it was barter, right? Like, and then you had kind of like about probably three or five or whatever big
Yeah.
suppliers that kind of like
Monopolies,
figured
yeah.
it out, right? Like that they could
Yeah.
supply everyone. So they would just like started
Yeah.
supplying those markets. And then you have that on X, right? Like you have kind of like the people are buying from each other, but there's like those
Mm.
you call them gurus, whatever, big guys that they
Right.
also every and each
Right.
one of them buys from them too, right? Like so that's kind of like also what it
Yeah.
reminds me of. Like X is kind of like that also tells you how simple we are as human beings. Like we've gone far way for over the last like 5,000 years, but like it's kind of like certain things never change, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely a very very unique perspective. Like now that I'm thinking about it, now my issue with that um, metaphor is that the people during that time didn't were just exchanging goods, right? They were just like, oh, I need, I don't know, like 5 potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
and here's your like 5 kilograms of cotton or
Yeah.
something. the thing right now is that people are like, yo, give me like 5 potatoes and I give you $10,000 of cotton. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how they do it on act. That's the issue for me,
Yeah.
is when people make crazy promises and it's like, whoa.
But look, again, it just I might, again, it might be my age. I'm not surprised by those things because the people they learn from, they just live like outside, they just like live outside of the reality, right? Like we can both agree that, like today's, what is today? Like January 11th, I think. I mean, just for today's
Yeah.
January 11th, 2025. And I mean, where we are, both of us, we agree that's the date. And that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
But those people that teach, like ex creators or whatever, a lot of them, those gurus, they live outside of that reality. They're going to say, like today's like 27th of October,
They,
2020, whatever, like 9. Nathaniel is wearing a white shirt and Milos is wearing like no idea, like a polka dot Bavarian style folklore clothes. Like it's insane. It's just like outside of any reality, right?
outside of the fabric of the universe, dude. The space time, they're not part of the space time continuum.
No, they're not. No, but look, I mean, but the thing is, you know what the problem with that is? The problem with that
Yeah.
is in that constellation, only one side knows that that's what that side is saying is not
Right.
real.
Right. They define reality, right? They
Correct.
say, oh, yeah, that's 10,000.
Correct. You know what? And those are kind of like, those are not really, it's not even, I was going to say like that's kind of like a metaphysical approach, but it's not. It's just a complete,
Yeah.
it's complete madness. That's what it is, like it's just kind of like when you see
complete,
posts, when you see
it's
posts,
complete bullshit. That's
yeah,
it, dude.
yeah,
Bullshit.
yeah. Like when you see things like again, I'm gonna call this guy out like again, and then maybe I don't know, like maybe he's gonna retaliate against me, but I don't really, I'm not, I don't care. When you read a post kind of like money is boarding, I'm gonna burn whatever 10K now, like kind of like physical
Yeah.
burn. Well, first of
Yeah.
all, that's a stupid, like saying. Second of all, that's illegal. You cannot burn any banknotes anywhere. Like that's kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
a felony. Well, it's not a felony, but it's
Yeah.
like maybe a lawyers among us are.
Yeah. It is illegal, right?
It's
Yeah.
illegal,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of like these people jump on that and kind of like, wow, this is so amazing. It's fantastic. And this person, we're gonna learn from this person like great stuff. Dude, like where the fuck do you live? No, seriously.
Are you asking me?
No, I'm not asking you. I mean, I know where you live, but like, I should ask
All
you in
right. I'm from
general.
the Philippines.
No, no, I know, but where do you
Sorry,
live?
you froze.
No, no, I'm saying where do you live, like in terms of kind of like where are you mentally right now? Like when you read something like that and say, "Cool, this is great. I'm gonna go and like get a course by this guy, and I'm gonna make a ton of money, so I can burn my 10K like in whatever three
Right.
months." It's completely
Yeah.
insane. Learn skill,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
job, earn money, learn skill, improve skill daily, find like your clients, build long-term relationships. That's what it is about. Like if you're talking the business thing, nothing's provided,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna give it to you. You can lie
Yeah.
everybody, but you cannot lie to the guy in the mirror. The guy in the mirror, like never forgets. He or she may forgive you, but he never forgets. So like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it.
With the skill, I think there are 4 skills, I believe, and I would like to see your perspective on
Sure.
this. There's 4 skills that I found in business is like very useful, or like the fundamental
Hmm.
skills. One is building, right? You need to learn how to build stuff. So build like a product, something. You need to learn how to create something that is of value. Maybe that's like build something that is physical, so like rockets, like Elon Musk,
Yeah.
or something digital, like a course or like
Huh.
a landing page. The next thing is you need to learn how to sell. So you need, and selling is one-on-one, meaning you need to learn how to like communicate to people, negotiate, see create win-win situations, know what they want, align it with what you want. And then next is marketing, which is basically just sales, but one to many.
Hmm.
So stories, how to sell. And the last one is customer experience. So it's a bit different than sales, because in customer experience, it's like, how do you build a relationship with the customer? How do you make sure the customer actually gets what he wants?
Hmm.
And how do you make it as streamlined as possible, so that they don't feel like they even like they're just so blissful and happy about the outcome
Yeah, I
and
agree.
refer you.
And there's a fifth thing that is kind of like a merger of all those things, because like
Mm.
skill is the foundation. It's kind of like building a house, right? Like if you build a house, you don't
Yeah,
start from the second floor, right? You start from the
yeah,
foundation. You need to build strong
yeah,
foundation to keep the house if it's windy, whatever, hurricane, typhoon, or just like snow or whatever, right? So your skill is
yeah.
the foundation. I agree with these four, right? You need to build
Mm.
a product, or you need to build a service, or you need to build something. I agree. We can call it
Yeah,
building. It can be, I call different names, but yeah, let's stick with the building. But to do that, you need to have a skill. Just basically putting your skill on paper, putting your skill like in a box, putting like kind of like a ribbon on it and selling it somewhere, right? Then
yeah,
third
yeah,
thing is the marketing. And the thing is, with the marketing, what I've learned a lot throughout my career is you have the skill, you have the product or service, but you
yeah.
need to let people know that they know about it. And how do
Right.
you do it in the best way? First of all, you have to talk about it. You have to promote yourself
Yeah,
or your product or service. Because if you don't do that, nobody will know you exist.
yeah.
And then we have the component that is kind of like a sub, or kind of like the younger brother or the bigger brother, people would argue, of marketing is advertising. Why is advertising
Mm.
so powerful? I don't know if you know, like all those like Porsche ads, when it say
Yeah,
kind of like like it's not big enough to get laid in, but kind of like you will get laid anyways, like if you have one and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah,
that's so powerful. You are talking to your buyer about what your product can, in a humorous, funny, but still very creative way. Like that is
yeah.
really important. And the important thing about it is you need to be yourself, right? Like if the Porsche came out, I'm just taking this example now. Like, have you ever seen a Porsche SUV advertising and say, we're so amazing and we can climb up the mountain 45 degrees and whatever? No,
No.
no, because that's not what they're about. They're
Yeah,
about 911 Porsche. That's what it is. Like we can discuss about it, automotive industry. It's a very interesting topic, like, but that's for some other time and other place. But you get what I mean, like with that, right? And
right.
then you have that kind of like chain, and then on top of that, it's a reputation. What does that mean? A lot of people don't
Mm.
understand again the difference between personal brand and reputation.
Yeah.
Personal brand is what you build on yourself and how you show it to the public, right? And the
Mm.
reputation is more kind of like outside in view, how people perceive you.
Mm.
And personal brand, you can tweak, you can improve, you can change, whatever, right? Like personal
Right.
brand
Okay.
is your hairstyle too, your glasses, your
Yeah.
no, it is like that, like that's it.
Right.
But if you started like wearing loafers now and driving a Lambo, right? Like you wouldn't be
Yeah.
Nathaniel that people wanna be with. You would attract other type
Yeah.
of audience. Like, but if your reputation is, however you develop yourself and your business,
Yeah.
that you are there, you promise on you deliver on your promises, you communicate respectfully with the customer, you put a customer in the
Mm.
center, you help your customer develop himself, his business, his skills, and you both
Mm.
profit from that. That's that whole customer experience, or as they call
Yeah.
it in my former and now current business, user journey, right?
Right.
Then you build a reputation
Mm.
that is really something that will drive all the other four things over a long course
Mm.
of time. It will drive building
Right.
new products, because like your clients will tell you what they want.
Yeah.
It will help you with sales, because once they told you what they want, you just need to go there and tell them, look, this is what I want, and I'm just gonna sell it to you for whatever, like. That's it.
Mm, mm,
You will market it in a probably cool manner because you're going to say, this is from me to you, and thank you for telling me for that. And then
mm,
you will create all the advertising stuff around it, right? Like, and then in the end, the user journey will be that, as we talked, you will ask them questions and they will tell you what they want. You will not
mm,
assume what a customer wants, right? And all of that
mm,
just kind of like is also kind of like a circle where you need to start from,
mm,
like skills, sales, marketing with advertising together, customer experience, and then you build your reputation. You need to kind of like turn those circles like many times.
mm,
Once you build your
mm.
reputation, it becomes kind of like a perpetuum mobile, right? It just goes on its own.
Yeah, it just yeah, yeah, yeah.
It just goes
It
on its own.
becomes snowball,
Snowball, exactly.
snowball
And the
effect.
thing is,
Yeah.
if you just allow me, I'm going to say this first time about what I did, for example, in my stuff.
Mm,
Like, uh, my wife and I have a small fashion jewelry business. I think some of the listeners know that. I tried out different things on X, and now I made money on X. It's just a fun thing. I made money on some, and at the time I met a couple of really cool people. I figured out that people couldn't price their services properly. They're just like following gurus
mm,
and sell stuff for like whatever, $97, like, or a tripwire for like whatever, $17 or whatever. Like it's kind of like more psychology than like pricing. And then I figured out, I said like, well, I priced millions of whatever hard currency, like on services. Why I just don't help people with that? And I started talking to people.
mm,
Some of them just became my good acquaintances and future friends for sure. I didn't charge
mm.
them anything, but then it was just basically a couple of guys that paid me to help them with the pricing thing, right? And I wasn't even expecting that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to say like I'm the pricing expert. Any service you want to price, that's me. Like come to me. It just like happened organically. And what I'm trying to tell you is like when you have skills, any kind
Mm,
of skill that you have from your experience or you learned, you can always
mm.
monetize on that skill. You just need to
Yeah,
listen to the people and observe what they do. And I never went to people to tell them, listen, I think your service is a shit price. I can help you become earn much more money, right? The point there is just like tell them, look, I noticed you sell something. I noticed that I think that you're missing out on something, and you should definitely price your services better. That's it. And this is
yeah,
not kind of like
yeah,
my
yeah.
lesson on sales and whatever. What I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to tell you is the skill, again, we're coming down to the skill, is the
Mm,
basis to trigger that snowball.
mm,
And then selling basically the advisory services that I didn't depend on X, that I also made some money from in this whole journey, relatively short one before I accepted the CEO role, is my reputation helped me reach out to people also through X that were founders of fintech financial companies.
mm.
Like you have what a CV is in a regular kind of like business that you don't
Mm,
need in a digital business. That's your reputation, I think, in a digital business. Because
mm,
if you can go to your customer or a prospect and tell them, this is who I am, this is what I did,
mm.
this is what I do now, you can talk to ABC about me and let me know if you would like to have a chat. That is basically the
Mm,
stage you want to come at. And I'm far
mm.
away from being perfect or amazing or like, but that is something that everybody can reach and achieve with a
Yeah,
lot of hard work, good idea, and always trial and error.
beautiful, man. Are you familiar with Naval Ravikant?
I am, but I've never read anything from him. And
Right.
I've read about, let's say, the third kind of like secondhand experience with Naval, what a lot of people post about him. But no, I have not read anything from him yet, but I think I should when you ask me that.
Nah, I'm just telling him because I've been going. So I studied him before. I'm studying him again. I'm just that guy who's like, I don't read a lot of books, but I
Really?
read
Okay.
a couple of books a lot of
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
So So yeah, so like for example, I have books that I really like, and I just read them over and over and over and over again.
Man, it's great. I do the same. No,
Yeah,
but
fantastic.
what did you want to ask me about Naval then? I mean, before I continue
Yeah, so
talking.
with no, but with Naval, I'm studying him a lot again, and one great insight with him, which I think is connected to what you're saying right now,
Yeah.
is he says that there's three keys to wealth, right?
Okay.
He summarizes it. So there's specific knowledge. So I think that's what you say skill,
Hmm.
meaning specific knowledge is just basically a skill or a behavior or a characteristic that's unique to you. It's like you're a natural at it,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Because you've done it for so long, you've practiced it so many times already, like you're so good at it. So it's specific knowledge. And then accountability, which I think you term it as reputation, right? If you're accountable on things, people know that they can rely on you. You're good at handling risks. Then people trust you, and when people trust you, it's like you're just gonna when you say I'm gonna do this, they know you're gonna do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the last one is leverage, and leverage is there's just four C's. So collaboration, working with
Hmm.
others; capital, using money to buy resources; code, which is computers; and then content, which is media. So he says that if you master all those three, if you use your specific knowledge, you take accountability, and you do that with leverage, right? You'll be rich, because
Yeah.
there will come a time when the world will need you, and you will be there,
Yeah.
and you'll act out of leverage.
Look, thank you very much for this really concise lesson about Naval. Listening to you, I feel like I had really indeed read him, but no, but I did not. I did not really like. I mean, but
Yeah.
that is. I think that is also that makes sense. That's really something, and that I think we covered all those kind of like things now throughout this conversation. Because listen, accountability is something that a lot of people do daily, but they're not aware of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
when you wake up, at least I hope, you go and brush your teeth. And you
Mm.
don't brush your teeth because the society tells you you should brush your teeth. You brush your teeth. No, but you brush your teeth because like you're not gonna have a smelly breath. You're not gonna have like
Mm.
like foul teeth in 2 years, and you're gonna save some money
Yeah.
on dental bills, right? So that's kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
your accountability to yourself, and that is also kind of like maybe my message from the whole kind of like conversation now. And I'm not trying to conclude at any point. It's just kind of like for people to understand where I'm at. If you're not accountable to yourself,
Yeah.
and I call that living accountability, not just talking about
Mm.
it. How can you be accountable to your family, to your clients, to your business partners, etc., etc., etc.? It's kind of like a trickle down moment. Then
Mm.
if you're not accountable with yourself, like to yourself first, you will
Yeah.
struggle with everything else. And
Uh-huh.
I took the toothbrushing example because it's the most obvious one. But accountability
Yeah.
to yourself is, in my opinion, is take care of your health,
Mm-hmm.
take care of your mind, take care of your like abundance, I would call it like that. So like make some money, however you do it, it's up to you. And there's no right or wrong. Working is fine. If people want to do that, fine, they should work. No problem
Yeah.
about it. And that is something that you need to be, like really aware of. You have many factors that influence all those three categories.
Mm.
But like I, I'm 42, saying this, like I'm just gonna stop talking, saying my age like all the time. But I've been working out. I mean, okay, I'm a former pro athlete, but I've been working out since 1993. I had periods in
Mm.
my life where I didn't work out, but for me that's a
Mm.
natural thing. And I don't work out to have a six pack. I work out to be able to, like play with my grandchildren one day, to take
Mm.
my daughter to walk my daughter to the aisle when she gets married, and to be sexy for my wife and not for nobody else.
yeah.
And you know, like, and to have a good long life. I plan to live at least for another 42 years, if not even longer. Why I basically read. I read for my mind. Why I write? I write for my mind. You get where I'm heading with it with this. Like, why do I do
Yeah.
things to make money? First of all, I would be bored as fuck if I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Second of all, if I do things that I enjoy and make money, even great, like even better. So that's the thing. That's kind of like more the mindsets where you
Yeah.
come to Naval when he has like accountability, right? Like, and the
Yeah.
leverage is that's the point. Another thing on X that a lot of people say: growth scale, growth scale, growth scale, growth scale. Great, fine. I'm all up for it. And there was another thing that you asked me before why I jumped on that. Well, it's very simple. I played every day with my kids back then. I still play every day with my kids. I was making some money that was okay, but I had other sources of income, right? So I didn't have to worry
Mm.
about money. And I worked way, way, way less than I used to work in the financial services industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the leverage. The leverage is
Mm.
also owning your time to a certain extent. I should be talking about it right now because I work for a company now, right? But that is
Yeah.
that is something. But I'm very opportunistic about this. I think it's a great company, and I'm not going to promote them here because it's not about them. It's about our conversation, and
Yeah.
I see a great opportunity in it, and that's
Mm.
why I chose that. And like whoever reads my pin post, I basically pitched them to sell them some kind of like advisory and email marketing services. And it turned
Yeah.
out completely in a different way. So what I'm trying to say, like any obstacle you face, it can be an opportunity in disguise.
Mm.
No, so that's it. I've never read Naval, just to conclude, but I think it absolutely makes sense what he says, and
yeah.
no wonder so many people kind of like rely like to that and kind of like know him and whatever. I didn't even know him when I joined X. That's another dude I didn't know, but he was
Yeah.
seemingly important.
Same here, same here. I also didn't know him. I met him because of a mentor, my good friend Jack Moses. He's one of
Okay,
my first mentors.
cool.
Yeah, Jack Moses was my first one of my first mentors, and he introduced me to Naval. But anyways, I did want to get to that because that's how he said how to get rich without getting lucky is that those three steps. And I think that you're another proof. I've studied like people in like the successful people that I've been admiring, and I saw that how that played out for them, how the three steps or the
Yeah,
three keys of Naval played out. And I think that it now that you're saying your story, it also worked out for you because you just did your specific knowledge, you had a reputation, you were operating in leverage, and then people just offered you, yo, you want to be a CEO? Now I want
yeah.
to talk about that. How did that transition happen for you, man? Like, how did you feel? Like, how was that experience?
I mean, look, for me, it was relatively easy. I was a bit kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, I didn't expect that to happen. But for me, it was
Yeah,
relatively easy because, again, it was really, again, calculated decision. I was
yeah,
making some money, but I mean, for the Philippines or if you go to some kind of like Southern European country, it would be okay.
yeah,
Like, but I
yeah.
wasn't making like whatever, whoever speaks about tens of thousands of dollars or whatever a month,
Mm,
which is also fine. I mean, doing that for some months, and I said like my dad died and whatever, like it was fine, right? Like taking into
yeah.
account the whole environment and the situation I was in. Um,
Mm,
they offered me something. I mean, they offered me a good deal also, but they offered me their vision. That's also what we talked about, I think, before started
mm,
recording. If you see the objective, right, like, and you know what you want to achieve, getting there
mm,
is just kind of like vehicle to like reach that
mm,
milestone or achieve that objective, right? Kind of fulfill that objective. And they showed me that, and I met the owner of the company, and I spoke to him, and they told me if you survive, like a serial entrepreneur, great guy, very entrepreneurial. Again, I'm not gonna say too much because it's nobody's business who he is, and I'm not here to promote the business, like so. So, and they told me if you survive 15 minutes with him, like you're good. I said, cool, no problem. But I had nothing to lose, right? Like, I mean, that's what we talked about. I went
Yeah.
into the call with him in 27, I think 28 minutes later. He said, like, look, we can keep doing this. Like, we can keep talking. I just have
Mm.
another meeting. Like, so I have to cut off on that. It was fine. It was really something very interesting, completely new cultural influence, a culture that I hadn't worked before with. Not all of
Mm.
them, but I'm just like here in Europe based, in charge of the local business. And like the
Mm.
transition was easy. It was kind of like coming back to something I didn't or I hadn't want to do, but it turned out that I had never experienced before something like this because it's essentially a startup. So it's a completely new experience. So it's kind of like be open about new things. Like it worked out well for me. I don't kind of like put my whole creator going fully independent in like I don't put it aside. I'm very open to that, and it's
Mm.
never too late to do it. But I'm focused on
Yeah.
this now. I'm focused on this fashion jewelry business that we have like a lot of like e-commerce stuff that we are doing okay. I mean, it's a kind of like an additional income that we have as a family, my wife and I, and we produce all of that. Um, and like it's fine. I mean, the transition is fine. I mean, I have more kind of like more regular hours now. But look, the great thing about any startup you can join is you can create your own success, and nobody's going to ask you whether you sat at your desk for like 8 9 hours. They're just going to ask you like what you delivered on, and it's been great so far. I like it, and I think it can become even better. That's why I'm there for to make it even better.
Awesome, man. Just confirming if you can hear because you
Yeah, I
you
can hear you.
froze
No, no,
again.
I can hear you. I think we were both
Okay.
frozen. I don't know what you heard last.
Um, you said that you're there to stay. You enjoyed like their vision, which is very interesting. Like that's something I think that most people miss as well. Well, now I'm thinking about this in terms of X. Is that you know a lot like okay. This is just my humble opinion, my humble and honest opinion as a guy who I would say had a lot of luck coming in. Like I did feel a lot. I did feel lucky, but knowing that I didn't have a lot of experience, um, I actually used the angle of me being a student to my advantage because I noticed that a lot of people on X they want to go there and become an authority, right? Like everyone wants to be an authority.
Yeah,
When I was beginning in the beginning of my journey, I actually didn't aim to be an authority. Like I there was a moment when I kind of dipped my toe into there and then I realized that that's not really who I am. I just enjoyed learning and like doing my best to help my clients, help the people, help my customers, help the people that I can help, that I can serve. And my first client, he signed me because I went to him and I was just upfront. I was like, yo, I'm honest, or I'm not honest. I'm a newbie. I'm a beginner, and like I'm not gonna be that marketing agency that's gonna change your life, but I will treat you as not a number in the screen because those agencies, right? If you work with agencies, they will see you as a number in their sheet,
of
as
course.
another customer. With me, you're gonna be my first client. Like my name is on the line. Like
Yeah,
I need to make this work. That's why, because his question was basically, why should I trust you? I was like, dude, I'm a beginner. Like I need to make this work so that the business works. And dude, that pure honesty, it worked for him. Like right now, we're still friends. We're still talking to each other because
awesome.
we developed that relationship. We just trusted each other.
Yeah, I mean, but look, think about it. If you go to a supermarket, right, like or to a bakery, and you ask the lady, "What's in this bread?" and if she tells you it's no idea anything else but like flour, water, whatever you put in a bread. I mean, I'm not an expert on that, right? You would be kind of like, I don't know, right? And you were honest. I think that's the also
Yeah.
kind of like one of the things that I mentioned before about like what I call always integrity, and I always call upon that. There's that famous cookie jar example. When you walk into a room and there's a cookie jar, and there's another jar that says, for example, $1, right? Do you take the cookie
Mm,
without putting the dollar in when nobody is looking? So how you basically
mm,
treat other people when nobody is looking, that's how you're going to be like in business, in life, in everything else, right? That's an interesting
mm.
thing, and I must say it now. Uh, but even though I never talk about it, and this is kind of like, and I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. It's just more about the in relation to this. For example, I donate every year a substantial amount of money to different organizations. But those organizations are, for
Mm.
example, a children's hospital, like for children that have cancer and stuff like that. And I don't go around and say, like, I do this and I'm amazing, right? That's exactly what you did with the guy. You went there and said,
Yeah.
look, this is who I am. This is what I do. And I would like to have this opportunity. And how that comes together. If you basically decide to do something and you're dedicated and committed to doing that and to making it great for somebody else, not only looking at your own interest, then those things are going to work. If somebody told me you now need to, like, donate, I don't know,
Mm.
XYZ to the organization ABC, I'd be like, no fucking way. Like, I mean, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. Not because I have a problem with authority, but because I want to decide how I go about things, how honest I am to myself, how accountable
Yeah.
I am to myself, and what's my integrity. And then if you have
Mm.
that basis, that foundation, and you obviously do,
Mm.
people will trust you. That's how you build trust. Being dishonest ruins trust. And that's
Mm.
again the reputation thing, right? Like, you can lose reputation only once. Rebuilding it is a massive headache. I made you think
Uh,
now.
it was a really insightful conversation. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I'm thinking about the cookie jar. I'm like, huh, am I going to? Hmm.
Look, that's basically
But yeah, definitely agree with that.
yeah, that's basically what your customer, what your client thinks about. Like, is he gonna put $1 in the jar when I'm not looking,
Hmm.
right? And if you know that you
Hmm.
will, he
Interesting.
knows he can rely on you.
Very interesting.
Like, everything comes together, man. But look, I don't know. Like, I mean, we can keep probably for
Hmm.
next like 3 hours, but you don't have that bandwidth, I guess. How do we go from here? Do you want us to continue, or or what do we do?
So I'd love to hop on another call
Sure.
soon and talk more about this because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really enjoy it as a person, man.
No
And
problem, man.
so one thing, like, where can people where can people find you? Or, like, is there anything that you like? Maybe a newsletter or something?
No, I don't look. I don't do anything at the moment. I took my websites down, like, because I don't really like. I'm kind of a guy that does things either properly or doesn't do them. A bit black and white there. Like, I either kind of like write a proper newsletter and dedicate my time and research to that, or just I don't write anything because I don't want to deliver shit to people, because
Yeah.
that's also how you ruin your reputation. No, I mean, look, my handle is at
Mm.
EEC_Phantom, PHANTOM.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to follow me,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. I mean, hopefully you'll learn something. If I didn't convince you, I'm sorry for that. I think I'll have to try harder next time. And that's it. I mean, I share my thoughts, my experience about basically business and life in general. And like, you'll definitely, if you get a DM for me, I'm not gonna be selling you anything for the time being. So, like, uh, yeah, that's it. I think something different on X at the moment.
Yeah, I love it, man. Again, if people don't like it, then they're not your target market. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
that's also
That's how
fine.
I like to
Yeah,
think about it.
that's true.
It's like you're not the one I'm communicating to. There's
Yeah,
someone else out there.
absolutely. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Well, it
This
was
was
nice
great.
meeting you again. It was a great
Thank you.
conversation. Really
Thank you
enjoyed
very
it.
much.
This is
Have
the
a good one.
longest podcast that I've ever done.
Wow. Well, yeah, I can talk. Yeah, we'll do it again.
Awesome.
Take care, brother. Have a good one.
I'll see you, man.
Enjoy.